It is Discovery Monday. It's a tool that I discovered last week. It seems extremely interesting for other people, but it could be interesting for me as well. Framer, Webflow, other no-code app exist and work for websites, and this one just popped into my radar, which is basically a no-code tool, but for web apps. You can create a web app directly here, which has an interface that is really close and really similar to Framer, and that is interesting. From the landing page, as always, we're gonna go over everything, and then if I can create an account, explore, and see if we can build something. It's a no-code builder without code, which I don't know what that means, but that means something to them, so that's interesting. They have this thing for styles, which is interesting. I think it's similar to Studio Design that we tested that last week, where you can have an API endpoint directly connected to your build, so that is going to be pretty interesting. They say they have dynamic content everywhere, which I think it's the same data as usual, a Discord community, and then some more cards. It's starting to be way too much text for me. The pricing, hobby, which is me, is going to be free. Good news. Oh, this is a tricky one. In order to create an account, you need to accept terms and conditions, which is the opposite as the usual behavior, which I feel like this is interesting. Like, you can't say you haven't seen that if you have an account, because it's pretty cool. First thing that we are seeing, obviously, is updating my profile information. Anywho, interface is pretty simple. We have the account apparently around here for some reason. We can search for projects. We have a thing called project on the side, which opens with plenty of things, which I would rather have in the center of the page rather than on the side. It's there. That's a plus. However, it is weirdly behaving in terms of the animation. Let's not derail myself already. We have a thing for package, we have a thing for an app, and we have a thing called new to Toddle, and they say try our tutorial project. Let's do just that. Loader is pretty cute. See, yeah, that loader is pretty nice. Okay, the UI is really close to Framer. I would say that the color scheme and also the icons, like that being like really close to Figma icon for components, but then this one being really close to the Framer icon for stack. That is interesting so far, but before I click on the play button, which is what they want me to do, let's explore the UI. Once again, we have on the left side the layer list, technically, which is presenting my, I think, page and then all of my layers. We are in a familiar environment, and then on the right side we have the inspector, which I'm guessing as soon as I will select something, it will change to give me the data related to that specific thing. We have the data about the page, which is the slash nothing. We have variables, which are called steps or steps, debatable. API link, formulas, if we have formulas, workflow, if we have workflow, which I don't know what that is. At the bottom, we have a floaty navigation, which is usually placed on the top right with the zoom and the play and all of that. In order to differentiate themselves, they put that at the bottom on a floater. The UI is really close, as we said, to Framer, but also to Figma. It reminds me of Modify that we tested like some weeks ago. Let's check if I select the div, the data here is giving me styling, attributes, and events, which I feel is pretty useful. And then we have a ton of data. Let's select a component, give me the properties of that component with the event associated with the component, if there is any. The formula and these look like they are coming from variables. It's interesting. Let's press play and follow along. Pressing play gets rid of the UI and it gives me access to all of the interactive elements. I should read things, because if I don't read, I don't know what they are telling me to do. Quick overview of the editor, which is exactly what we did without any help. We have the project menu, which I thought was pages, called element tree or layer list, the Canva, which is what we are playing in right now, the bottom toolbar, which is usually at the top, and then the right panel, which they call the right panel for some reason, which I think they should call that the inspector like any other fucking tool, but whatever. You have handle on the side. You can put your Canva once you are in play or not play. Ooh, that is cute. That data about giving me sizes. Let me see if I can get that right here. All right. Basically, you have a bit of a highlight of the sizes of things that you can check with predefined width. That is pretty interesting. The element tree lets you navigate all the elements. It's called layer list, not an element tree, because that sounds like elementary. I'm going to say that now. I don't like when tools are using known patterns and renaming the patterns. Web Studio that we tested 2 weeks ago had things called box to define divs, and here we have the element tree to define the layer list. We have been using a thing called layer list for the longest time for any design related tool, for any no code related tool. It's called a layer list. I understand the will of some of the people that are creating these things to rename content. Specifically here, it's a list of layers, but also it's some type of elements because you have blocks, elements type of thing. But still, renaming things with non-proven patterns is out of my comfort zone for these. Anyways, that is a weird ass layout. So the numbers are giving me predefined values, but then I can't really access them quickly. Anyways, moving on. The right panels display on the left. This is a bad move on their end. It lets you define the styles and attribute of the currently selected element. And then the last thing, at the top of the element tree layer list, on the left side of the editor, you will see the name of the page or component you are currently working on. Project sidebar lets you navigate the file in your project. I don't think I will understand anything on the working on API thing. Let's breeze through that. If you have API, you can just go in there and then you have some code. This is a weirdly formulated thing to say that you can double click to edit whatever. This button opens the formula editor, which is it a layout thing? No, this is weird. That paragraph here, formula editor, seems to be for that image, but then I'm guessing that if you click on this, you have this that is popping in. Either they have swapped both of the fucking images and this is double click was that, or they just don't fucking know how to organize data, which is debatable, but yeah, complicated to understand for a designer. So you can have user interactions with events and actions. This is going to do the same thing that I've done in vanilla JS once, which is cool because I know how to do that in code now. Thank you, Stony, for all the help. And now I know how I can make that in that app. I will understand the functioning things behind on top of this. That will be pretty good. This is the shittiest layout that they could have done. What the fuck? How did you say, oh yeah, this is a good idea? This tutorial is really in depth, but also really surface level at the same time. I like it. When you are a new user and you don't know shit about how things work, this is pretty good. I also see that they have a link to the docs and the YouTube video tutorial at the top at all times. If I'm lost on this thing, I can just go check these two resources and or join their Discord and just ask my questions in there. Let's go back to the homepage and just go in projects. That took us 20 minutes to go over the tutorial, which is crazy. Blank project. The reason why I want a blank project is because I want to check their fucking AI thing. Because if I can use the AI assistant tool to generate something that could be interesting, apparently it's not the AI generating things, it's more the AI answering questions based on the doc. Instead of reading the doc, I can just ask things that are based in there. Clicking on the plus gives me the elements options, which we have a long list of things. And if I know exactly what I need, then I can just search for the elements. That's pretty cool. I add a div. What happened? Oh, it's there now. A 1 pixel div. It is not a website builder. It's a web app builder. So it's a bit more interactive than Framer, I think. Like on Framer, if you wanted to have a clickable ticker, like a thing that does +1, +2, +3, it would be a bit more complicated to do in Framer. You would need to do that in code directly. Having the ability to do it visually might be interesting. I think it is still a better entry point to users and people that cannot take the time to understand the coding section of things. If you really need something quickly and you don't have the mental capacity to learn code, then an app like this might be better for you. Even though limiting, it might still be a better option for the short term to get your things out, and then you can hire someone that will build it for you in code rather than just having to build it and front a lot of money in the first place. And also Webflow is fucking annoying to me because I know how to do the thing that Webflow is trying to do in code, and it's frustrating because it should take 3 lines and Webflow is 8 clicks and you get the same result and it's broken, and then you need to do the same thing again, whereas in code it's just like you have 2 lines and you're good, you have your thing. I just saw that is shit. Dear devs, please stop cropping data. But I think this is the same thing. I think this will be be some sort of an annoying type of data again to get. Can I T? No, T's for test. Oh, that is fucking annoying though. Okay, so I have my text thing here, and then if I do, I can't. Sorry, no, not that. Oh, this is fucking annoying. I want to duplicate the thing. Command D doesn't work. Control D doesn't work. In order to do that, I need to select my main div, add another div. If you select a text value and you click on add text, it doesn't do shit. But if you select the div and you say add text, then it does do something. This is annoying. That is supposed to grow. How the fuck do I define that? Like with 100, maybe. Okay. This is bad though. I wish I could multi-select as well. That would be great to select multiple things, obviously. This is annoying as fuck. I can't. If I'm selecting a fucking text layer, I do not get the ability to change the data. I have the information about the text, which is here. But if I'm selecting the text, I would love to have the information about the text and the properties of the text right there as well to be able to change that. Even if it just impacts this, it would be great. I don't know. Basically what they're saying is that because this text is not in a div, I need to select my parent div to go in and modify my values of the things. That makes no sense. Once again, I think this is too complex and too simple in a way. Like it's the situation where we were at on Webflow and it's the same thing and I was scared of that and I was right. Here, for me to achieve the design that I wanted to achieve in Tailwind 2 weeks ago to create the spam battle widget, it took me maybe an hour-ish. Here, just saying flex-grow or width 50%, like min width 50% or max width 50%, whatever. It seems that it's way more complex than what I thought it would. Also, the fucking place in which things are supposed to go is weird. Like I need to be in grow 2 and then here in grow 1, but then in order to get these values, I need to go in here. The layout and all of that is just complicated to grasp. So far, I'm gonna complain every fucking time. That was good. I'm gonna complain about that. It's a base 8 spacing. If you just use your shift as a value, you get 816 every time you get an entry. That's pretty good. Other than that, it's not that good. I think I've seen enough for my level of understanding and my level of current brain power. Overall, it's pretty good. It has potential to be an interesting and useful tool for people that don't have any code knowledge and or JavaScript knowledge. The fact that you can plug your APIs and your variables and all of that visually, having some user workflow defined in the beginning, this is great because it's a visual base for your code. So I do enjoy that. However, once again, because of the slight advantage that I have of I do understand now code and some basics of how things work, this is the most frustrating thing I can get. Right now, if I wanted to have my double zeros right here to be a different font or something bigger, I would need to wrap them inside of a div to be able to get my values. Otherwise, if I'm changing the font here, it's going to affect the entirety of the text layers inside. And this doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, once again, you shouldn't have a div just has a line of text. That's not how things work. If I select the text, I don't have any text editors options. That's what I'm saying. If I want this to be bigger and a different color, I need to wrap that shit inside a div just to be able to get that text bigger and white. I should at least be able to, I don't know, give it a class or give it an ID, give it something in here that then can be used in there, but right now it's not the case. So all of that to say, if you have the slightest knowledge of code, you will hate this tool. It is great if you don't have any understanding of code and you need something to work with, link with API, links with user interactions, all of that. Yes, great, do that. But if you do understand a teeny tiny amount of code, forget about it. So overall, great tool, pretty complex potential. It really has some options to get variables API workflows, but the behavior is not exactly the same or similar enough to the current behavior of what you would need to do later when you learn code for me to be able to recommend this app. It could be a great way to learn the semantic again and the wording of things, like some of the things, but there are some words that they are using that are picked directly from code and code environment, and there are some things that they have renamed some reason. But if you are a newbie and you have no understanding, this could be your entry point to visual coding. And then when you need to get something that is a bit more complex or a bit more flexible, either they have new updates or you have the ability to just learn code directly, and that would be better. But yeah, I think that's about it for this specific thing. Moving on.